TAQ Capital, technical analysis quickly.
This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Before taking any action based on the information provided on this channel, it is recommended that you seek the advice of a professional licensed financial advisor.
Let's do this.
All right, welcome back to the channel, guys, where I give you technical analysis quickly without the hype, FUD, and hopium. And I want to start here on Atom with this white wedge, because I had somebody ask me yesterday, then, the wedges that go up don't always break down then if the white wedge broke up. And that's here. And that's actually not true. And here's why. Because at the time, we were taking it off of the last hit, which is right here. Okay? So if we pull this white wedge to, we got our first hit, second hit, third hit, and then we should have had our fourth hit down here, bounce breakout. And instead, right here in the middle, it just took off. Well, after you've had 4 hits, you will break down. This never got to 4 hits, and you can't count this as a 4th hit. So this is a wedge that's emerging. And another way that you can check that too is don't go off the last hit here, go off the second to last hit, because that should also be a functioning wedge. So if you take it there, and then you have to miss here, and you have to miss here. So let's pull this wedge down a little bit, just enough to miss them both. Then you've got 1, 2, you don't even have 3. So you don't even have 3, so this isn't even a wedge. So once the wedge actually forms and you head up there, you had to make it a solid line to see where we were here. So we have a hit here. This is actually a miss. So then we come down, we miss here, we come up, that's our second hit. Then we come down, third hit, we miss here, we go up for our 4th hit, and now we're working on our breakdown and out. But that down, again, doesn't have to be down. It can just be out. All it means is that we're coming out this side and not this side over here. Then if we take it from the last hit on the pink line here instead of the second to last hit, which was down here, or the pink wedge, not pink line, sorry, we've got 1, miss, 2, miss, 3, and then we're working our way down to, arguably, we just hit as close as you possibly can get for 4. So this might be the breakout of the white wedge, and then we'll be coming down to the pink. So that's how the wedges work as they're being created. They still always go down if they're pointed up, and they still always go up if they're pointed down. Now, I know there's a big school of thought out there that says that's not the case, that it's not true. Well, I've not seen it yet. So if I'm wrong, cool, but I've not seen it yet. Now, yes, here's the issue with the people that do that. They just pick some random thing that's not off of a wedge's last hit and try to make a wedge out of it. Something like this, where you have the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it came down and broke up. So you could say, well, that wedge was going up and then it broke up. But the wedge isn't a wedge in my definition of a wedge, because this isn't playing off the last hit of the wedge that it's within. Because if you did that on this wedge, the white is within the blue. So you've got your last hit, 2, 3, 4, breakout. So this was just one really long bounce. So if you were drawing this wedge, trying to figure out where we're going next, you're drawing the white wedge, then you would realize that we're heading down to this spot to create our 3rd hit, 1, 2, 3 on the blue, and then we went up from there. So it really is important to, if you're going to go with the wedges that point up, break down, wedges that point down, break up, sideways broadening wedges and symmetrical wedges could go either way. It's important that you are going off of the last spot on the prior wedge, because if not, it's anyone's guess, just like everybody else thinks it is. It's just, I've not seen it when you're going off the last spot do anything other than what it's doing. Now, like for instance, if we take the purple wedge, this is unfolding. We've got 1 hit, second hit. So, originally I thought this was my 3rd hit up here. It's not. Then I thought this was my 3rd hit. It's not. Now I think this is my 3rd hit. It's just unfolding. So it's not giving us a definitive answer. I mean, I drew this line like this. I did it dashed just to differentiate it from the other two purples to see if maybe we were in a symmetrical wedge. That would have started out like this with 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we hit and then broke out. So then we'd have to redraw the symmetrical wedge. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, break out again. So then we can redraw it again. As of right now, we've got 1, 2, 3, and we're waiting on 4, and then our breakout. And if this keeps pushing the envelope, we're going to change this down. And then we've got a downward wedge, and that downward wedge is going to be breaking up. But the downward wedge may not be here, for instance. If we got rid of that, it could be way down here. So for that, we've got to go look at Bollinger Bands and, most importantly, the Ichimoku cloud. Okay, this is the same purple wedge, but on the 4-hour. And we've got the Kijin holding strong down here. And as we continue, the Tenkin keeps pointing higher and higher and higher. Now, there's a good chance that these candles are going to get stuck on the Tenkin for a little bit. Could be the next 8 to 16 hours. If this continues to come up, we get another candle there, it comes up again, we get another candle there. It could even take them higher because it's kind of riding up the Tenkin. Then we'll get a close below the Tenkin. So the Tenkin will come out like this, and then you'll start having these candles come down. It's also going to depend on what Bitcoin is doing. And that's why I have these charts side by side. So you've got the Kijin way down here at just over 20,000, and it's currently at 21.2. So it looks like, as this Tenkin is standing up, it looks like we're going to be calling those down and breaking out the bottom of this orange wedge. And, well, I won't get into that because you can watch the Bitcoin video that's coming up, but where it goes from there is anybody's guess. But either way, it's retracing now, which leads me to believe that there's a solid chance we're going to get the exact same thing happening on Atom. Not only does it need to happen, but Atom and these altcoins do what Bitcoin's doing as a general rule. Another thing I wanted to draw your attention to is this wedge forming in the RSI, because you can draw the wedges in the RSI as well. The only difference is they don't do symmetrical or sideways broadening wedges. It's always up or down, and they last a long time. Like you can see, this wedge started on May 9th, so it bottomed out here and now has been going back and forth. So if we spread it out a little bit, you can see we've got our first hit here, second hit here, third hit here, fourth hit here. So now the question is, are we going to be going higher or are we going lower? Well, on the 4-hour, we're already above the 85 RSI. So there's a good chance that we're not going any higher. I mean, the last time that we were above the 85 RSI on the 4-hour was August 8th, 2020. We hit it here on April 6th of 2020. We just miss it May 31st of 2019. So we don't operate in this area very often on Cosmos. So I'm thinking we're coming down and we're breaking out. Is it possible we go a little bit higher? Sure. I mean, right now we're at 86.87 RSI, and the last one we did here in August of 2020 was 91, almost 92 RSI. So we've gone higher, so it's possible that we'll go higher yet. Like a little bounce, grab one more, and then come crashing down. And that's what we're going to try to determine on Bitcoin as well. Because if Bitcoin goes up, we could get another little rally out of Cosmos as well. This is the 4-hour RSI on Bitcoin. And you can see we've got our first, second, third, fourth hit. And are we going to go down and out, or are we going to do a little bounce? Well, here you can see we're only at the 70, not even 79 RSI. We're below the red line, which is 85. And I mean, you don't even have to go back far at all. This is May 31st of this year. We were at 82 RSI. And then March 28th of this year at 85 RSI. And then February of this year, we're at 83 RSI. We hit the 85 RSI in September of last year. So, I mean, we go to 85 RSI a hell of a lot more often on Bitcoin. So there's a distinct possibility we have another run on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's wedges also say the same thing, because this blue wedge here is downward broadening. And if you saw yesterday's video, you'll know that we could be breaking up out of that before we redraw the yellow line to go through there. And then we're at, at the top of this yellow to 3, and then we're going straight down to, I think, 8 to 10,000 range. So we could have one more run up that takes place as part of this bounce out of the blue before we come crashing back down. And then this would take us above the 85 RSI on the 4-hour chart. So that's something to be mindful of. This blue wedge here that runs from the first hit being the wick on August 26th. And then the second hit on that top line is the one we just did. So follow that top line. If we break up out of that, I think we're going to have a run up possibly to as high as 23,622 here, because it uses the Fibonacci retracement tool. This was our bottom. We ran up to here, so we'll retrace to somewhere in here and then go back up to that mark if the Fibonacci retracement tool is going to play out. You know, it could always be this one. Typically it's the top one if it makes the run at all. Otherwise it's just going to be a complete fizzle. Like it could just be a bounce out just enough to hit this resistance here at 21,930, and I call that resistance because we hit here, we got rejected there, and we fizzled out before we hit it again here. So this is we're getting close into the resistance range, and technically if you lower it to hit all of these candles, we've got, you know, rejection, 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 rejection there, and then we got rejection here. And if we swoop back down and we hit it again and we wick up, it'll be just enough to take this blue line here and drag it up through that. And now you've got the blue line pointing up, the blue line pointing down, and now you can break out either direction, and that's when I think we'd come down and go out. So we'll, if there's another run in Bitcoin, it could be as little as 22.2 up to 23.6, somewhere in that vicinity here. So again, if you're in Cosmos or any of these altcoins, you need to be paying attention to Bitcoin too. So for now, we're retracing in the purple. I think we're going to come down to at least this range here, which is right around 1440. And then we're going to just want to see what Bitcoin's doing to determine whether or not this bounce up is going to take us higher than the green, or if it's just going to be a bounce to break up out of the purple before we come down blue, bounce, then green, bounce, and then out. And there doesn't always have to be a bounce when it breaks these lines. There just typically is, because it's form of support. So it'll find support there again, generally find support there again, and then break down out of it. So I think that's going to be, this is the most likely overall trajectory. This is what Adam is telling us, but it doesn't always matter what Adam's telling us. It also matters what Bitcoin's doing. So if we get down to, you know, this point here and Bitcoin goes on a run, it might look more like that. We'll hit a new high on the green, and then we'll come back down. And this actually could give us our bearish divergence on the RSI, because you may have the higher point here actually be a lower point here. And then, you know, we've got the line going down versus we've got the line going up, and then that is going to be our bearish divergence, indicating, yeah, we're coming back down. So we have all those things to watch for as this unfolds. So that's it for me today, guys. Thanks again for watching. If you find these videos helpful, like, share, and subscribe. And my other socials are down below if you want more up-to-date updates. And I hope you have a great day out there, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.